One. Oh, this rotates. I didn't know it rotates. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. Oh. Out of the box.
Come on, let's go, Zoe. Go, Evan. Come on, Evan, let's go. Job, Joe.
One scores.
Away goes over.
I like your hat. You get the best hat award. You get one of those. I'm the umpire. Oh yeah. I was the umpire from earlier, so I normally don't wear a mask. But out in this weather, I work very well.
You were the umpire on the bases?
Yeah.
Is that the same guy behind the plate?
Yeah, he's going to be here all day because my partner had a car accident, so he wound up filling in for all day. So yeah.
Are you going to
Later, no, I'm recording because I want to see whether we get good or bad.
to see what?
If we got the calls right or wrong.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
See, that's why y'all are so good, because you work hard at it.
Well, it's a lesson to know whether we're right or wrong.
Can't come sit right up
Sure,
there.
absolutely. I'm off duty. I'm not working. Plus, I had y'all at Jordanton as well. I don't know if you were there at the Jordanton.
Just this past week.
Mm-hmm. I was on Friday when Navarro was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were playing against. I forgot who it was. But they won. Both of them.
Yeah, so far we haven't lost a game.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I appreciate you noticing that.
Oh, yeah.
Never use it.
Oh, that thing. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. We sit here for hours and hours.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Because y'all's
watching
game's
my-
not till 7.
Yeah.
So,
And I will be watching my grandson play, so.
what number is your grandson or position?
He was the shortest.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think he had a blue glove, doesn't he?
Way to go,
Like
defense.
a bluish gray glove.
Yeah, you made an excellent call on that. That throw where it came all the way across past second
Uh-huh.
and threw back and bounced it.
Yeah.
And would that run have been out?
If he was on the bag? Oh, yeah. If he was on it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but he came off of it.
When you indicate you pulled him off the bag, then you realize the run would have been out,
Yeah.
except for that.
Yeah, everyone was ready to come talk to me. He's like, I got the run. What do you expect me?
I called it.
Everyone was like coming out. I was like, I said he was off the bag.
By the way, I want to tell you, this cough is residual from sickness I had a while back.
Oh, no problem.
Not infectious.
Oh, don't worry about it. Like I said, I just wear it because it breaks the wind. Otherwise, I'd never wear these things.
Yeah.
So, I hate these things. Except when it's cold like this. I was watching him. He was umpiring at Concordia last week because he does college ball. And we were at Concordia, and I got videotaped their games too. And I was like, man, the one day I needed the mask because it was blowing. It was 40 degrees, 40 mile per hour winds, up on a hill. Even though the sun was out, I was like, oh, just blistering.
So that thing gives you the entire field.
Yeah, I have the mound and then the whole field. Like that one. Of course, I saw it from over there. But shh, don't tell anyone.
Here's the thing. You don't know what it caught the front corner. Is it good? I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt.
Yes, I noticed. That's why he still plays baseball.
What's your name?
Joseph,
Joseph. I'm in.
nice to meet you, Emmett.
Wood. Very nice to meet you.
Yeah, pleasure to meet you,
I was
Mr. Wood.
going to tell you a little bit about me because you mentioned that pulling the strike and all that.
Mm-hmm.
You reminded me of something.
Mm-hmm.
In 1974, I went to the Specialized Umpire Training School in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Oh, okay.
Bill Kinnaman and Joe Linsaladas,
Uh-huh.
and you cannot umpire professionally unless you're there.
Mm-hmm.
At least that was
Yeah,
what
the
I
Florida
was
thing,
thinking.
yeah.
So I decided I wasn't going to be a player. I'm 23 years old now.
Mm-hmm.
I admit I'm not going to make it to the major. So what's this next best? I'll be an umpire and work my way up to the major leagues as an umpire.
Uh-huh.
So I go to that school. And that was the year that they stopped using the three-man teams crews in AAA.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of umpires said, well, I'm sticking with it, so I moved down to AA.
Uh-huh.
And then some double A's said, I'm sticking with it, so I moved down to Class A.
Uh-huh.
So, of course, some guys said, well, that's it for me.
Right.
So the point is, we had 235 students at that school.
Right.
And that year they had about half the normal job openings, only 35.
Right.
And I was able to get one. I got hired.
Oh, wow. Hey, that's awesome.
And what I was going to tell you,
So they went from 3-man to 2-man, basically? Oh yeah,
AAA.
you're out of jobs.
And
Yeah.
AAA.
Yeah.
So, Major League still used forward.
Right.
AAA.
Amazing that they built it too.
Yeah. I forget why. Like, yeah, regardless of, and I don't know if there were any other factors or not.
Mm-hmm.
What stands out to me, and in my very first professional game, proved to be true. One of the things they told us during the course of the class, it wasn't just a normal curriculum, but it just came up, and they said, listen guys, I'm gonna warn you right now, just accept this. Fans always see the play the way they want it to be. The umpire always sees the play the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, so you're going to be shocked. You're going to get routine calls and you're going to get booed and you're going to go, what? So in the very first professional game, it was in Canada, the Westminster British Columbia.
Mm-hmm. Wow, way over there.
It was their first year in the league, and so I was assigned to the Northwest League in Eugene, Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
And my partner and I were scheduled to be off on opening night,
Mm-hmm.
and then open the season the next night in Eugene.
Mm-hmm.
But because this new team was coming, New Westminster, British Columbia, Canada,
Mm-hmm.
our president said, you two guys go all the way up there to Canada, and we're going to work a 4-minute crew on the opening night. And then early tomorrow morning, or the next morning, y'all go back down here to Eugene and open your own schedule. So that's what we did. So I remember coming in on a routine dry ball, fast run. We made it within a step or so, because the guys weren't early enough.
Right.
So I just routine read out, and the fans are real booing. And they were serious. This is on, what the hell is that? I remember being shocked. And then I remembered what those guys told us during the school.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never forgotten that, because I see example after example after example. When the play happens and the fans who have been against are just booing and carrying on, and it wasn't even close.
Yeah.
But the umpire sees it the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
Fans see it the way they want it to be. It's really an interesting thing.
Very true. And now everyone's gonna watch it over and over and over and over and over because it's all recorded now.
Stop. They worked in New York City before they decided that.
And even then, it's like, I'll let you win sometimes. Not many times, but.
You know, it's kind of fun when you're watching a game like you get somebody close to you. And you get to see the replay several times where they make a decision. And before it even starts, you go, well, I saw it this way and that way. And you go, oh, man, look at that, look at this. That could change it. And then you go, no, they're not going to overturn this one. Or, yep, it's going to be really good. And sometimes we're all right.
Yep.
Even then.
Very true.
That's it. It's an amazing world.
Tis it is.
And you're Robert.
Joseph.
Joseph.
Joseph Cruz.
After the Joseph and
No, but I love that story. You could pick any of the other Joseph too. Arimathea, Harry's, or let's see. Of course, the Old Testament Joseph.
I was just reading something yesterday.
Oh yeah.
It was in our Bible study last night.
I'm all ears. Ready.
Well, Stephen.
The first martyr in Acts.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was appearing before the Sanhedrin.
Uh-huh.
charges, trumpet charges, kind of like Jesus did.
Yep.
Come on, man.
And he
Slow
was
down,
making
let's
his
go.
defense. So one of the paragraphs, was saying he could have easily brought out a comparison of Joseph to Jesus right here.
Uh-huh.
But he knew it would alienate them. So
Mhm.
there was no point in it. So he held it back.
Mhm.
And some of his critics said he didn't make a defense even though he made this eloquent speech. But he defended his position so eloquently, it's just unbelievable. You don't realize it until you study it.
And then we remember the chapter before, when they're dealing with the women, it's like, do you remember what it said there? Stephen was full of faith and full of the Holy Spirit. And he could eloquently put it together. And then he did what they told to the umpire when the umpire's like, oh, did you say referee? In this case, you? And then he was like, you brewed a piper. Oh, there you go. There's the charge. We're going to kill him now. Not that it was wrong. It was just like, I guess that was the plan. And then the Lord enters in person to him. Now they don't see him, but he does. So. And then you go in the future and it's like Romans 10, let's say, as far as let's say a full message of grace. Romans 10:9. If you confess your mouth and believe in your heart, grace from God, you will be saved, not disappointed, or shame, whatever the Bible version you have in his hand. But you start at the beginning, that verse 1 or verse 2. They have a zeal for God. They're even going to do certain things, thinking to do for God, but they have a lack of knowledge of I was like, does anyone knew that? It was Paul, because he was the one there. That held his clothes, and it's like, yeah. Very true.
Joseph, I know there's no way I can see that you're a really serious student of the Bible.
It's all because of learning as a kid. I've been playing since 13. So, for me, it was like, you got to read all the walkthroughs in different places. And it's like, so it was good training for, Bible too. And I was like, you just switch books. Like, I can have both books. I'll still do this and still do that. I get both things I love. One more than the other.
Isn't it beautiful? Just what you're saying.
Uh-huh.
You can take any part of the world, any part of God's creation, and you can relate it back to the Bible. That's where it tells the whole story.
Restructuring her out, I'll tell them it's like, you remember what happened when Elisha, it's time for Elisha to die, the guy's burying him, the marauders come and kill the guys who are burying Elisha. It's in 2 Kings somewhere, I think 2 Kings 13. They kill the guy that's burying Elisha's body, he falls in the grave, and he comes back to life. And then the story ends there. But right before that is the story of 3 strikes. He tells the king of Israel, hey, take the arrow of victory, pound the ground, and then shoot it out the window. So the king of Israel is like, okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay, you're going to win, Elisha says, in paraphrase, in summary. But you idiot, you should have struck it 5 or 6 times. Now you're out in 3. And then I say basketball. 5 for fouls out in college and 6 for the pros. But baseball's anything.
So just kind of further what I said about the creation and the world and all this. It's all in the Bible. Everything is. The only problem, all the problems in the world is full of problems. It's where Satan has taken something God created, perverted it, and misled people. Because he can't create anything on his own.
Right.
So he only has to work on and chip away trying to mislead people about what God did. It's really beautiful the more you get into that and realize that.
Yep.
So it's my favorite subject, and obviously I picked it up too late in my life. I'm not even close.
Well, there's an eternity. Well, eventually back here, according to the book. But in the meantime, depending on when Jesus returns, or the millennial kingdom part, depending on what part we're talking about.
Okay, listen, let me ask you some more questions because it's very interesting. Eventually back here, you see. So I plunge ahead and I take that to mean that you can't go to heaven and never come back.
So,
I've heard that a lot.
so if we're talking like, let's say, rapture or harpazo kind of things, you know, I know, put it this way. I know there's a variety of, I'll say, doctrine in regards to, let's say, rapture stuff. So it's an interesting one. So what I would say, eventually the new heavens and the new earth come down. The Lord has already thrown the books of death and Hades into hell. The lake of fire is open for business, of course. At Armageddon with the Antichrist, false prophet, 1,000 years go by, Jesus rules and reigns, and then Satan's let off for a short time, like it says, and then everything's wiped out, and then whatever the next part of the story, and the new heavens and new earth come down. So I'll just quote what it says.
Okay. Let's just go back over what you just said on this lovely slide.
Okay.
You know, everything's wiped out. You mentioned that phrase. That happens at Armageddon.
Mm-hmm.
Satan's entire system is completely destroyed. Sin is done away with. Satan is pinned up in the house for 1,000. Then he gets turned loose for a short time, like you mentioned. But at that point, all these Satan people are falling on the right.
Yeah.
Remember when it says the lake of fire means?
You mean like Gehenna? In terms of like the,
Gehenna.
yeah, or Hebrew or Greek, which yeah, Gehenna, the place after Hades or Sheol. Yeah.
Okay.
The final place for them.
Okay.
The second resurrection period.
It's not really a final place. It's a kind of it's a symbolic place where they are thrown because they suffer the second death. Okay, so that's what the lake of fire represents. The second death, from which there is no resurrection. So a person who goes into the second death, he can never be resurrected. And that's where Satan, some demons are going to rise. But it is not a place literally, and it is not eternal torment. And the Bible proves this in a whole bunch of ways. But one of them is the book where it talks a lot about Manasseh, King Manasseh, where he got off track for a while. And it talks about running his sons through the fire. And the Bible says that's something that Jehovah never came up into his mind. Never considered that. Putting somebody through the fire. Now, think back a little more, and you remember what the punishment to Adam was if he ate of the fruit of the tree?
What the punishment was? Well, eventually it'd be death.
Death. That's the punishment. No eternal torment, no fire. It doesn't even seem like the loving God. And think about this, Joseph. If you were acting corruptly so that you deserve to go to this hellfire and torment forever, and Satan's going to be there running the place, think about it. God would be taking people who turn against him and sending him to his number one enemy for eternal punishment. What kind of logic is there in that? You see?
That's,
So,
I understand.
so the punishment is the second death from which there is no resurrection. So you will never, ever have consciousness of God or anything else again, ever.
I've heard.
Punishment for sin right there.
Ooh, that was sorry. So they're down the middle.
It's okay. You run enough. You can do two things at once. Anyway, so does that make any sense to you?
It does.
It does.
Yeah.
So there's no hellfire, eternal torment place. You see, if you refuse to repent and come to God, you are just going to die the second death. And that's where Adamic built, all people from Adamic built will be resurrected.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, in simple terms, have a second opportunity
Mm-hmm.
to accept the truth and worship God properly.
Mm-hmm.
If they refuse, then they die a second death, from which there needs to be a resurrection.
Mm-hmm.
God takes care of himself.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, enough about that, but
Oh no, that's fun. I love talking about those things.
that's just what you need to think of, that part of the overall picture.
There's an interesting. I have some brothers in Africa that I kind of help them minister because Africa's, how can I put it? When COVID hit, all this masking thing in America, eventually, of course. But anyway, and all that stuff, no one would meet here and all that stuff. So, the internet was there and Facebook was there, and it's like, well, no one's afraid to die here for some reason. So I was like, there were people there and Facebook, and I was like, hey, you like Bible, you like baseball, you like Jesus too, you want to talk? So when COVID hit, it was like, well, no one really wants to talk to America. You guys want to talk? So, we did. And ever since then, we kind of started, I kind of started reading the Bible then and stuff, and it's always a joy. And actually, one of the guys that I met there worked the Dodgers, the LA Dodgers bought a school there, and had been trying to raise up talent through there for over like a decade now. And they finally got a player that's actually signed, and he came down in the Dominican. But anyway, so one of the guys that loved Jesus and loved the, I guess Bible, you could say, we started talking, just kind of reading and stuff. And eventually, they get a lot of visitors from America and it's an Anglican country, I guess you could say. So, so you've got British roots. One of the other baseball guys was in Cameroon, and they had French roots. So, they have more Catholic stuff over in Cameroon. They have more like Anglican church stuff there. But, it's a free country. And I was actually trying to bring them here to umpire this year. To help them with their desires to spread the word, build a farm, maybe build a church building. Again, the church building is like sticks and stones with iron sheets, and $1 here goes very, very long over there. But that love baseball, it's like, well, you can be a poor American like me. And if you come over and umpire, it's like, I know all the assignments. You can work, save your money, go back, buy the farm. Go to church, help your family out, keep spreading baseball, keep spreading, Christian things and so forth. So then their country went and I was supposed to bring them for this season, but they were in Uganda and Kenya, and, they just put their anti-homosexual laws over there. In America, kicked out all the diplomats. I was like, so I was like, sorry guys, your U.S. Embassy visa visit's not going to be till April. I was like, oh, well, April's not too bad. I was like, it says April 2025, not 2024. So we're going to wait. We'll just wait. Hopefully they'll do it, and things will change and stuff. But there was this one missionary that went and visited them, and he had this really interesting thing, and I was like, oh, I like that thing. Because it was one of those, it was a wonderful thing that Jesus had said, and I was like, you want to see where he said that? It's really interesting. There were those 7 things that Jesus said when he, when he died on the cross and, was crucified. And one of them was like, my God, why have you forsaken me? And of course, it was also, I forgot what it was, Eloi, Sabachthani, how do we pronounce it?
Elohim.
Say it again? Yeah, Elohim. Well, it was either Elohim, it was what it was written, and I know Mark and, I forgot it was Mark and Matthew, but basically when you put them together, it was like Eloi, or Eli, Sabachthani, or whatever, and basically, yeah, that one. So, and then it says in English, my God, why you're forsaking me? And then it was like, oh wow, look at that. It's there. That's what David said in Psalm 22, verse 1. Jesus said what David said in Psalm 22, verse 1.
That's something.
Yeah. So then when I kept reading, you go down to Psalm 22:6, and it says this really interesting thing, and I'm like, well, that's really interesting, because it was like, you read that whole chapter, and I love the chapter, because, it's like almost every single church in the world knows Psalm 22. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want to lack again, depending on what Bible version you have in your hand. And eventually, they'll walk through the valley, and, King James kind of memorize that one. So probably the more famous one, just because it's been around technically the longest. Anyway, so it's like, that's such a beautiful picture of someone that has been given that gift of the Spirit of God, guiding them, moving them, leading them, giving them stillness by fierce water, protect them in those valleys of death and stuff. But it's like the chapter before is like, well, hey, if you're going to have the Holy Spirit, then you have to have the right Christ. And you have to have the right Jesus. And that's what you find in Psalm 22. And it's like, my God, forsaken me. And then it's like, in Psalm 22, it talks about them gambling his garments, like the Roman soldiers did. It talks about his bones are they're not broken, but they're out of joint. As it says, his bones weren't broken. It talks, yes, all in Psalm 22 about, yes, exactly what Jesus did. It's like crucifixion, but it's not necessarily hiding, but it's there in the Old Testament, literally describing exactly what happened to Jesus. But there's that verse there where it says in verse 6, and I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. Why would David say that? So he says this in Psalm 22:6, where it says, "But I am a worm, not a man, a reproach of man, and a despised by the people." And it's like, well, the whole chapter's clearly about Jesus. So what is David saying that he probably not really love?
Heads up.
Heads up. Anyway, so it's kind of one of those interesting things that word in Hebrew is tola. And that's what the word that they use for tola. And that tola worm is the same worm they used in Israel when they would use to color their garments in their Old Testament, practices, all the Old Testament stuff. But they would use this worm. And the interesting thing about that worm is it's like what the Lord said, the heavens declare the glory of God, and even, nature created. So this little worm that's still around today, physically, like an actual worm. It looks actually like a pill bug, but they call it a worm because, hey, their language. So when those worms give birth, they latch on to wood in Israel, because they're only found in Israel, because it's their thing. And when the babies are born, they eat the body of the worm, but those worms are they're like super glued on you because they latch. So the babies eat the worm under that shell that they have, and then they bleed on the wood that they latch onto. And guess what happens on the third day to the color of their red blood? It turns white as snow. It's called a crimson worm. I was like, that's so amazing. It's like even this little word. And it's like, and they get those worms and they use it for their dye, to dye their garments and, their ceremonial stuff. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. So this little Hebrew word, which is the same word that's right there, where there's a judge that was named Tola, and he was the son of Nun, son of Pua, and it was the only judge in the book of Judges that has nothing bad spoken about, because all the judges are not there in the book of Judges. Yeah. But that Tola judge, which is the exact same word, but they didn't change it to worm, they used it as a name. It's the same Hebrew word, but they didn't change it to worm, they kept it as a man's name. Not a single thing was bad spoken of that particular judge. And then that same worm is also in the book of Job. And that same worm is at the very last two verses of Isaiah. And it's like, wow. I was like, that's interesting, because, when it says in Isaiah, it was, let's see, it says in Isaiah, and it shall be from new moon to new moon, and from Sabbath to Sabbath, and all mankind will come to bow down before me. Got it. All right, the rest. Says the Lord, of course, all capital letters, which is Jehovah or Yahweh or however the tetragrammaton. Then they'll go forth and look on the corpses of men who have transgressed against me, for their worm will not die, and their fire will not be quenched. And I'm like, hey, that's what Mark said. Mark's like, hey, the worm's never going to die, and the fire's never going to be quenched. And it's like, oh, wow, that's interesting. So then there was this one spot that eventually, that it was like, in Revelation, that's what it means for me, is you read this one part where, it talks about the mark of the beast and the whole 666 thing. So it says this, it's right there where it's like, then another angel, third one, followed them, saying with a loud voice, if anyone worships the beast and his image and receives a mark on his forehead or on his hand, the other King James, it says in versus on. I don't know. I'm just reading whatever is there. He will also drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is mixed in full strength, in the cup of his anger, and he will be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment goes up forever and ever, and they have no resting night or day for those that worship the beast and his image, and whoever receives the mark, and to call to the saints to persevere and keep the commandments and their faith in Jesus. And that's like, did you just say that they're going to suffer in front of the holy angels and the Lamb? Because the Lamb's Jesus. Isn't that Satan? So it's like, oh, well. And then everyone's like, well, Lord willing, that their Savior and their King hopefully is Jesus. It's not. Well, let's just say it's not good. Bottom line. It would be good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's coming in. This stuff wasn't coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Back to the other thing about the second veil.
Mm-hmm.
And hellfire. No place of eternal torment. I wanted to tell you this happened.
Sorry. I hear you.
It's okay. I heard it down in Mobile Soul. They say Mobile Soul. And that actually starts.
That was closer.
Come on, boy, you got to that bad ball. Come on.
She said, "What God told her to tree from the tree?"
Yeah.
He said, "You truly will meet." He followed that with, as soon as you get that tree, you will be again inclined to that. That's where this idea that the Mobile Soul exists comes from. And you can prove it because in Ecclesiastes chapter 9, it says,
I'll look it up. If they only put baseball books, like they'd be easier. Then they put Bible, so that's even better. Okay, Ecclesiastes. Is there a version you want me to pull up? Because I have like hundreds.
well, the one I'm trying to quote from
5'9"?
is the New World 9.5,
Yeah, the NWT.
the New World Translation.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I have it with me. I have it in my other phone. I have a couple of them at home. I got the silver one and the black. Well, not silver, the gray and the black one. So I like the silver one.
It's just, all the Bibles all say the same thing. You can get the truth out of anywhere. Some of it's hard.
I understand.
So you can
I
look
do.
up one, you can read them all over. Ecclesiastes 9.
Yeah.
And it says is that
After all, a king who cultivates a 5 man, right?
No, 9.
Oh, I got it wrong.
The living know that they will. But the dead
Yeah, for the living will know they will die, but the dead
know nothing at all.
do not know anything.
So if we are dead, then we cannot possibly live on in the form of an immortal soul, because then we would know them. And when we're dead, we know nothing. And then, of course, there's a lot of scriptures that I'm sure you're familiar with about the resurrection. Acts 24:15, and John 5:28, and a lot of others. We're going to be resurrected from that grave that we go to when we die. That's where we rest, like sin, like Lazarus, until we are resurrected by Jesus, our Father. And so until then, we're just like this. We don't exist in the world in conscious form. In fact, the Bible refers to us as living souls rather than possessing them. Okay, so if we're going to die in the midst of the world, that's obviously proof that Satan told Eve the lie. You will not die. And she will not die. You're made in his image, but not made in the spirit. Then Psalm 37:20 clears this as the righteous. Perfect, you just need righteous.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's no one perfect. There's Jesus, but yeah.
Righteous possess the earth and live forever. That's the truth. Even though you have died, the resurrection now lives forever. If you're righteous, there's nothing about becoming righteous. It doesn't mean even not imperfect or even not just And so that right there refutes, I don't know what percentage, I was going to say 80%, but a huge amount of the lies that go around in many religions.
Denominations. We'll just call them what they are. It'd be like one big religion all broken up in a bunch of denominations. But I understand what you're saying.
And it's a result of Satan's
Yes, there is. I would agree completely with that. Because there's certain ones. There's one where I'll tell them, it's like, you know what? That was not a step. But anyway, it's one of those things when I'll tell the guys, it's like, you know, heaven is missed by 17 inches. And they'll ask me, like, why do you say that? I was like, well, do you know how wide that plate is right there? He's talking to the baseball guys. It's 17 inches. A strike has to hit in the zone of that 17-inch plate. Yes, it can be a little bit further out because the ball's 3 inches. So you got a ball here and you got a ball here. 3, 7. So technically, anywhere between these 17 plus 3 for the width of the ball just has to touch that plate. Well, that's like eternity. So many messages go right here in the head. The problem is it needs to get here in your heart. If it gets here, everything else will change. But if it only stays in your head, you're probably not going to change. You may accept whatever message, if you don't actually become, let's say, a new person, or transform, or really one of his actual children. You know, reality that it comes down to. And it's like, lots of people accept Jesus, or Jehovah, or Jehovah's my salvation, or Yahweh's my salvation, but it's like, you need to go from here to here so that it comes out here in what you do represent. Representative speaking, you know. And it's like, one of those amazing things that, lots of people can spell Jesus or spell the Lord with all capital letters or spell Jehovah. But it's like, do you know, probably more importantly, does he actually know you? And then you know him, so that relationship is good or righteous or holy, acceptable.
Got the keys.
Holy.
I thought that's where you were.
Out there.
I did. I thought that's where you were. I just don't want to get wet.
Yeah, it's nasty. Hopefully that'll be it.
Yeah.
Wet.
Oh, I missed it.
It says this means everlasting life. So whatever this is, and it says there, T-H-E-I-R, coming to know you, the only true God, and the one whom you sent, Jesus Christ. So we have to come to takes a lot of work, a lot of determination, and like we're talking about, you've got to have your heart in it.
Ooh, hit him. He knows him very well now.
And against the heart conditions,
Or the ball does.
your analogy of home plate, you got
20
inches
inches.
from the edge of the ball to the edge of the ball. Outside those parameters, it's not a strike. And of course, if it's too low or too high,
It's not a salvation. So that's why I'm like real nitpicky with this here, because I'm not like very much like that. I'm receptive, but I'm not like very much, because they're gonna you're gonna have to hit the plate today. And then they get mad because I'm like, well, look, I don't make the rules. It's my job to call it. We can choose how we're going to, this is life, live life. It's the way we're going to call this. But I'm going to tell you what the book says.
I don't make the rules, it's my job to call it. And I'm human. I might not get every single one of them.
My umpire friend in Missouri goes to this plate meeting. He's like, you see any holes anywhere? Hopefully that lets you. Now it's Missouri, so Missouri's pro God. You try to say that in like California, or Chicago, or places like that. It makes sense here, but that's why like there's one. You got it. Like there's
slow, that's all.
a very interesting thing that when people are saved and when people are condemned, you think of two, let's say, important events that happen. Pentecost happened. Do you, hopefully or by chance, remember? Peter gives a sermon. People are saved. Do you remember how many people were saved that day when God gave the Spirit of God?
It seems like it says 3,000.
That's right. Now, of course, that's a picture of grace and salvation and righteousness and who's going to lead and so forth. But in the Old Testament, when the law was given, a bunch of commands that are perfect and holy and righteous, and we don't keep perfectly in any way, shape, or form. Do you remember how many were killed the day that Moses came down from the mountain and broke it? In case you hadn't seen the Ten Commandments for probably 50, 60 years on TV.
Are you talking about when
Moses came down and they found the golden calf, and then he throws the tablets and draws a line in the sand, metaphorically speaking. And whoever's for me, come on this side. Whoever's not, well.
those are two different occasions?
Yeah. Do you remember how many died that day?
So you're talking about when Dathan and Abiram
Oh no, not Korah's rebellion. No, not Korah's rebellion. But I love that story very much. One of my favorite stories. No, particularly when God gave Moses the Ten Commandments on the first time, because he went up twice. Right? When he comes down and they're worshiping the golden calf, Aaron's the one that made it because he gave them. He comes down, he throws the tablets down, the tablets are broken, and basically now the Lord has him kill a certain number of people. You remember what that number was?
Again, it's kind of fuzzy on the outskirts. And, gosh, I do not remember.
Well, you already said the answer. 3,000.
3,000.
Yeah, because when grace was given, 3,000 saved. When the law was given, 3,000 were killed. Paints a picture of. But there's even more. There's another. Do you know another famous 3,000 in the Bible? Still Old Testament. It's a wonderful combination of both law and grace. It's another judge. He did nothing really good in his life, but the Lord had mercy on his soul because he finally understood what it meant to turn to God. Turn to Jehovah. Turn to Yahweh. Turn to the one true living God. Right? But it costed him his eyes. And it costed him for them to make a mockery of him. Because, he's probably considered the strongest man in the Bible. And they poked his eyes out because he was a not very good judge. And he gave all the secrets that God had empowered with. And, he touched the honey and the dead body. And, of course, he had the Nazarite vow. And Mom had been visited. And the Lord sent the angel to do all the things. It was Samson. But guess what? He gives a secret. Yeah, it was Samson. So he gives his, let's say, his strength away by telling Delilah. Delilah tells the Philistines, and go and cut his hair. And all of a sudden, he's got no more power. And they capture him, and they poke his eyes out, and they take him to the land of Philistia. I forgot what city particularly, but he's in Philistine land. And then the Bible specifically says this thing, his hair grew back. And it's like, Lord, why would you tell us specifically his hair grew back? And then the story continues. And it's like, they put him in the temple. He asks the Lord for strength again. He says, Lord, remember me. The Lord remembers him, gives him his strength. He pushes the 2 pillars because they were using him as like an animal circus, basically, mocking him. But they really were mocking him because they finally understood that his strength wasn't really from his hair. They believed that he was forsaken by their God because his hair was already growing back. And they're like, oh, hair's growing back. No power. He's still a dancing monkey for us. Let's go put him in the middle of our special temple Dagon, which was the Philistine gods at the time. And then, of course, Samson's like, Lord, remember these last time. I want to die. Okay. So the Lord gives him his strength. He knocks it down. Guess how many died of it?
You're gonna tell me.
Exactly. But here's the beauty of it. They were idol worshippers. They're Philistines. They go to not heaven. Right? That's the easy one. But him, it's like, well, they went to sleep. They
To the grave,
yeah, to the grave.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I just couldn't resist.
I understand.
Because we just talked about it.
So now it goes to Samson. It's like, well, he didn't do anything good. He slept around. He was an adulterer. He was a fornicator. He was, he broke his Nazarite vows. Okay, he killed 1,000 Philistines with a jawbone of a donkey. But it wasn't really that the Lord commanded him to do it, but he still did it. And even it says there at the end, he killed more in that one day that he pushed the pillars down and destroyed that temple. They costed him life, but it's like, is he going to live later? And then it's like, we thank the Lord that the Bible tells us over in Hebrews 11 that it says, in the hall of faith, it's like, hey, to tell you about David, Rahab, Ruth, Samson, Jephthah, Barak, Samuel, and all the other prophets. It's like, hey, he was a believer, not by what he did, because he didn't do anything good. He even put the remember when he put the fire on the foxtails and then burned because they took his wife, and the whole, he gambled and they slept with his heifer. You slept with my heifer and you got my joke because he tried to trick the Philistines, like, you got 1 week to figure out the riddle that I have, just stupid, touch me. And yet he's still counted righteous over there, and it's like, man, God is very, very merciful and very, very gracious. I'm like, it's right there, because he certainly didn't keep any laws. But the story that I think I love so much is when he says it, he makes his pleas like, remember me. And I'm like, hey, the thief on the cross, not I won't say the left side, but I'll say the one on the right, just because, normally the good side's the right side. So I'll go, you read one gospel, the two thieves or the two criminals on the cross or the pole, whatever you want to look at it is, they both railing Jesus in one gospel. But then you read the other gospel and you get multiple angles of the same story, and one of them was, let's say, not sent to the bad place, the grave, right? The other one, Jesus says to him, hey, today you'll be with me in paradise. Yeah. And it's like, but what did he say? He said, remember me, that criminal that was found righteous says, remember me. And Jesus turns back and says, you will be with me today in paradise. And it's like, I wonder if he remembered what Samson said at the last minute before he died.
Let's talk about that point a little bit more. Jesus said, truly I tell you today, you will be with me in paradise. And if you knew that promise, in front of the word today, it says, truly I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise. So let me ask you a couple of questions. The first one is, did Jesus go to paradise that day? The day he died on those Turkish days? Did Jesus go to paradise that day?
I would say, according to the epistles, I forgot which one Paul wrote, was he went to set the captives free, is what I would say.
Well, remember what we just read about where you go when you die? That applied to Jesus. He went to the grave, and he was there for 3 days, and he was resurrected.
Agreed.
50 days later, 40 days later,
He ascends. Yeah, he ascends on 40.
so that's when he was in paradise. 40 days later. And where is that thief?
What
He
says?
died the same day Jesus did. He went to the grave, just like Jesus did. Jesus was resurrected 40 hours later or something like that. The thief is still waiting to be resurrected. But Jesus told him
Yes.
that day, truly I tell you today, you will be with me in paradise. So what do you mean? He's going to be resurrected. He's going to have the opportunity. He repented and showed his true heart right there. So he would be just like all the other humans. Like it says in Psalm 37:20. And he won't be.
I'm not gonna hit him.
He won't be automatically live forever. He's going to have to come back to the world because he was unrighteous until that day. And he's going to have to learn righteous. He's going to have to learn like all humans. We were talking about spiritual. And he gave a really good indication. So, when he is resurrected, Jesus will be
Come on, Ivan, let's
in
go.
his kingdom ruling over the earth. So he will be with Jesus in paradise. He told him so that day on the cross. Makes sense?
Oh, I understand it.
But even Jesus didn't go to heaven that day.
No, he did not.
So he couldn't have been with him that day in paradise. And Jesus didn't tell him to lie. You know that.
Of course not.
So he's going to be in paradise with Jesus. He will be.
See, that was one of those fascinating things when I started reading, let's say, the book of John. Is I want to say it was either John 7 or 10, I forgot. Whenever Jesus is talking to his brothers, and his brothers are like, hey, you need to go to the festival. And I forgot which one. I think it was Festival of Booths. That's right. Booths, Tabernacle, Tents, again, whatever version you have. That particular house. Oh, right. You can have wherever home plates are. I can't even see it anymore. You see home plate? Get that. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
I can see it now. A faint glimmer of it. Just a little streak.
No, there isn't a grave. We can't see it. It's like we can't see the grave. So going back, so it's that one particular chapter where Jesus is talking to, or his brothers approach him, and I don't know the place. Anyway, where he's approached by his brothers to go to the festival, and it's they say, hey, go to the festival. Basically, show them what you can do. And he's like, Jesus responds in summary, I'm not going. And you keep reading, and eventually he winds up at the festival. So the brothers go, and then eventually he goes, but he goes at the midpoint. He doesn't go when the brothers wanted him to go at the beginning. He goes when the father tells him to go perfectly, because that's the relationship they have. And he shows up, and in my head, I'm like, did Jesus just tell a lie? Because he showed up at the festival. And immediately I was like, no, he didn't tell us like you just said right now. I'm like, no. It's not he that's telling us. It's me. My thinking is wrong. Something needs to change.
Let me dig in further and see where's the truth, because I know it is. I just can't see it yet. So I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh no, I get it. But it was like you had said when you said that. It reminded me of the first time that I'm like, no, he's not a liar. So I'm thinking something wrong. I need to adjust my thinking based on what is going on here. So
figure out the truth.
Those are all those little things. So it's how do I put it? Like I know that I have friends and family, particularly in let's just call it what it is. Let's say a Pentecostal denomination. And they have a great tendency, again, I won't say 100% because I don't go to one, but, they have a great tendency of focusing on, let's say, the gift of tongues. And then I usually will try to say, why do you work so hard at it if it's a gift? So I'm going to pause right there, give phrases. Maybe brothers, sisters, I don't know, I'll say friends at best. And I'll be like, just a question. When was the first time that God gave that gift of tongues in your judgment? And they will answer the question and be like, if I were to say the same thing, be like, if you were to answer that question, what would you think of if you were asked that question? So I'll tell you what they'll tell you, but if you were asked that, what do you think?
Is it Pentecost?
Okay. So that's pretty much what everyone would say. Well, it was the event that revealed exactly what I would say, looked like. Like, okay, great. It is Pentecost. It's Acts 2. You read all Acts 2, and of course, we had already said, hey, how many were saved today? So we know that portion of it, right? But, before that, it's like, hey, look, it says there. Oh, let's see. It says, they were in the upper room. They were waiting for the Spirit to come like fire, right? And it was like a surrounding thing. That doesn't mean there was fire there. It says like, as in metaphor, as in metaphorically speaking. So it descends on them, and there were 120 in there, and they came out of the room speaking this language, and the Bible lists the languages. Like, there's at least 10 or 12 languages literally listed there. Not gibberish.
Every person from all the countries that were there,
right?
Their language was
correct, because they come out of the room, and now they start. Peter gives his sermon, which means they're going to now speak this language that they did not learn, did not study. It was gifted to them to speak to those people, just like you said, that were in the crowd. There were, it says, mostly Jewish proselytes, which means they came from other countries, but now they went there. They were converts. They were proselytes. Yet they still spoke their native tongue, because that was probably their number. Ooh, good job. Thank God he didn't get hurt. Out. So, what was I saying?
6-3.
Yeah. Good read, scorekeeper. So I was like, see that, guys? I'll tell the Pentecostal friends, I was like, see that? Language. It's a language to them, but it's a tongue to them because they don't know it, and they know it, and God puts these things together in 3,000 years. So, yes, it was a gift. But here's the thing about it. My question is, when was the first time that it happened in the Bible? And I'll say, it's not there. Again, grace was given, salvation was given because in the Old Testament, much like 3,000 were killed the day the law was given. Hey, guess what happened when tongues happened in the Old Testament? Can you think of it now?
No.
Yes, you can. It's the Tower of Babel. Because what happened there?
Oh, he confounded the languages.
They were judged. Not saved.
Well, yeah, he put a stop to
Right.
the building of the tower.
They spoke different languages that were gifted to them. They weren't led to salvation. They were judged and sent away to wherever they went. If we examine the exact thing that happened here, but this was salvation, now this is judgment.
I don't know if I would call them gifts to him because they were confounded and could no longer communicate.
Well,
And they basically panicked.
but they regrouped according to languages, it says. So they were confounded, but now they switched friends. Like, they all spoke one language, that's what it says. But then they regrouped according to their new language or new tongue and went their way.
Okay.
That's why when you look at, let's say, Malaysia and all those like pagan countries, whenever you see their temples that they built, they look like Aztec temples. Because they took the same design that they had at that temple and spread out all over the earth. That's what it's showing. And I was like,
So it was God's way of putting them into that ridiculous thing about building this tower. Affront to him.
because why? It was only about 100 years after he destroyed the whole place by water. And he promised us by the rainbow. Yeah, it was approximately 100 years later.
Because I know Nebuchadnezzar was.
Oh, that was way later. That was like 500 BC. Yeah, because it went Nebuchadnezzar, and then the Persians conquered Nebuchadnezzar. Well, they didn't conquer Nebuchadnezzar. The handwriting on the wall with Daniel and Belteshazzar and Belshazzar. I forget which one it was, right? The Persians took over, and they conquered the Babylonians at that time.
So what was the name of the king that was building Nimrod?
Yeah, Nimrod.
That was the name I was trying to come up with.
Yeah, Nimrod. No, that was but it was only about 100 years after the flood. And it makes a lot of sense because how many languages came out of the flood? Well, let's just go back with how many people came through the flood. 8. So there probably wasn't too many languages to. I think that's what happens.
At the beginning, they all spoke one.
I love the Tower of Babel because of this. It's like, hey, and if you get one sinner, you put another sinner together. Do they get more sinful or less sinful? If you put 2 sinners,
Sinful squared.
let's cube it. Let's quadruple. Hey, just look at a city versus a country. A city tower versus a country.
Yeah,
It's not surprising to understand humans are doing this.
Yeah.
So, when they speak the language, how much worse is it? And how much more quickly they're going to do the same thing that happens in the end. Almost the whole world speaks English again, including Africa, Asia, Europe, everyone. It's just the way it's supposed to be.
So that, again, I'm having trouble with that being a gift. If anything, it just kept his purpose on track.
Well, they didn't learn.
Huh?
A gift doesn't have to, people will use gifts and use them wrongly.
Yeah.
God gave a gift of life to Adam and Eve, and they used the gift of life wrongly.
It was a gift intended to make it impossible for them to carry out their task on their own. And it was obviously anything to look at.
Are you ready?
Well, yeah, he broke them up and they stopped doing it. It was too early to destroy the fire.
You know, it's funny about that. I mean, sometimes you think about it. Remember how tall they could have built? Obviously, it couldn't
But,
have gone high enough to bother
no,
them.
but it's
It's a good lesson.
it's their heart that's wrong.
It's a
Most
huge-
importantly. That's why I say it's like, look, whether you cussing me here or you cussing me, later and at home, it's like it makes no difference. You're already wrong. Why you didn't do things that are wrong? Like I had to tell them to shut up 10 times. I'm like, these kids cuss a lot.
Joseph, believe you said your name was Cruz.
Mhm.
Joseph Cruz.
Mhm.
What's your middle name?
Patrick.
Joseph. My name is Walter Emmett Drew.
Oh, okay.
I would like to exchange photos with you
Mhm.
for what?
Sure. I actually have. Um, I keep things that I write, and I have one in my car. It has my number on it. I'm gonna give it to you when I'm done. I'm almost done because I think I'm getting too wet, and I gotta work tomorrow in Medina.
Okay.
But I'll go get it, and I'll bring you back my phone number.
Wait, just because I got my phone right here,
Okay.
and you don't know your phone number.
Oh, 210-838-8888. Real easy. Only Wayne writes that one down.
I'm going to take yours and then call you or text you or something.
Joe,
Yes.
can you see if they have a towel that we can use for baseballs?
Yes.
Cover up that one.
You want this one for now? Have one. No, I don't. I'll be right back, Walter.
Okay.
Come on, Mason.
Damn. Slow, he's gonna want to get me all that. Come on. Let him hit, let him hit. Yeah, go. Come on, come on. Let him hit the ball, let him hit it. There you go.
Big strike zone.
Come on, kid. Go. No up, no up. Behind you. Nobody. Tyler. There you go, there you go. Right there, right there. Come on, come on. Now you're ready, now you're ready, come on. You got two on them, let's go. There you go, there you go. All right, let's do it again, let's do it again. Let's do it again, do it again. There you go.
You got a towel.
Out on the tag?
They have a towel on that.
He wasn't at the
I don't know where
base.
it came from. They were rotten off the leaf. So I don't know if they got it out. So he asked
Hey, wait, catcher.
No clue. They just say it's not a happy time for anything. Yeah. Yeah, you guys are playing next, but. All right, I'm gonna turn this off
Two
because
down.
you got. Yeah, ready? Good.
I know it's 2-1-0.
Yes.
Let's go,
8 3. Yeah. 210. 838. 8888. Joseph Cruz. 88. Ooh.
Coming. Whoa.
Yeah. I'm gonna call it a